We're getting in here, man.
Bet.
But nonetheless, Mr. Invisible, how's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm blessed. I had work today, man, but those notifications were on, man. Group chat was going crazy. I mean, it's just one of those things, man. It's free agency, man. It's free agency.
This is kind of what we've been waiting for. But before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ruben Calvillo, and welcome to the 713 Houston Sportcast, where we drop daily Houston Texans content. Now, you can't see him, but I hope you can hear him. So if you can hear the other person talking, let me know so I can know that we're okay. But he goes by the name Mr. Invisible. Welcome to the
Yes, sir.
stream today, brother. How you doing?
I appreciate it. I'm good, man. Just here.
A
One
minute
day.
in and 39 people have already joined the live stream. Guys, once again, before we really get into the meat of day one of free agency for the Houston Texans, let me know if you can hear Mr. Invisible. Then we will be on our way. Man.
That's all you can say about today, brother. That's all you can say.
No. So let's talk about the day before. Let's talk about 24 hours ago, Mr. Invisible. The expectations were flying through the roof. This is the first time, in general manager Nick Casario's tenure that he has the money. I mean, over $70 million in cap space, and I went a bit thinking that they were going to be fireworks, and there wasn't any. Guys, no one has told me if they could hear Mr. Invisible speaking, so please let me know. But it was a letdown day for me, Mr. Invisible. I'm not sure about yourself.
So for me, I had the fireworks just like you did. I had those butterflies. I was expecting us to go out and get some big names, such as Wilkins, such as Saquon. I will be honest though,
Okay.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad for the simple fact that Wilkins, that contract is crazy. I know we have the money and all, but that's just a crazy contract. 84 million guaranteed is a lot of money. And I do believe that we can build that defensive line through the draft with Newton still. Um, Saquon, I was a fan of Saquon, but again, you know how Nick Caserio is. I think there's a lot of talent in the draft as well at running back. And I mean, if you could get 900 yards out of Devin Singletary, I think you can find a rookie and you can find a guy like you still got Aaron Jones out there, you still got Derrick Henry out there. So I think we're still fine. So yeah.
You know, I would agree to you, right? Like, I do think these signings are good. And, I like Deno Autry. I like Aziz Al-Shaair. I like Jeff Okudah. But these are day one signings. These are day two signings. These are day three signings. You talked about Christian Wilkins. You talked about Saquon Barkley. I know the contracts that they got were outrageous. But if you would have saw the headlines that the Houston Texans gave Christian Wilkins that money, would you really sit down there and say, I'm mad we gave him all that? I mean, absolutely not. You were going to say the Houston Texans, they finally did what they haven't done ever, really, and that is spend big money in free agency. Christian Wilkins would have been the first, and I don't think anyone would have been mad at that. I don't think anyone would have been mad at the deal that Saquon Barkley got it either. You just wanted to see that the Houston Texans got one of these guys. I have no problem with the free agents that you brought today, but these are day two, day three signings, man.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. If Wilkins would have got brought here, I would have probably been pretty happy. I can't lie because
Yeah,
I
come on
did want
now.
to.
Come on. Let's be honest with ourselves, dude.
I will be honest. I would have loved to see Christian Wilkins even with that contract, but even though he missed out on him, there's still a guy in Eric Armstead. I'm still very hopeful that he'll come down here, and if he does, that kind of makes the pain a little bit better for me, just because that dude is a monster in the middle. You can still bring in a rookie, and you have a good rotational backup defensive tackle room as well. And I'm
Yep.
really hoping we bring back Barnett. That right now is kind of one of my things right now. I saw a lot of promise in him, but I do agree with you. If we would have seen one of those breaking news, Texans got Saquon or Texans got Christian Wilkins, man, I would have left work. I'm not gonna lie.
It's just we'll have to wait and see. And I don't think me and you are surprised that the Houston Texans went this route. You really thought that they were going to break the notion that they don't spend in free agency. So you're really like, oh man, this, someone I saw a comment, the same old Houston Texans, and that got me infuriated. But what you saw what happened today, you're like, man, it's always been like this. Are if not now, when? When are the Houston Texans gonna ever take a splash in for agency, right? And all the deals done today were on the defensive side of the ball. You haven't touched the offense at all. So I wonder what is coming in day 2 and day 3. Is Nick Casario going to, I guess, splurge in these next couple of days, Mr. Invisible?
I honestly think that how the market went today, it was defense. Defense was kind of the headline for a little bit. I know the running backs went really early as soon as free agency opened up, but I mean the defensive class is so deep. I don't mind that Nick kind of waited to weigh his options and see kind of what the market was. I think tomorrow's going to be the runs on a lot of receivers. You still got Curtis Samuel out there. You got Darnell Mooney. You have a lot of guys out there. Tyler Boyd is still out there. Gabe Davis kind of set the standard a little bit, but obviously Gabe Davis.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, I think tomorrow, I think we do bring in a receiver. I think Nick is a day 2, day 3 type of guy.
Okay.
Um, he's proven he has an eye for talent. You can't. I mean, regardless of how we look at it, I know we're the fans, but Nick brought in some talent last year through the draft and free agency, and look what that got us. So I kind of trust the process. I know, we're the Texans. We haven't been here in a while, so we want to go spin, 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 but I mean, hey, you can't put it past them that our scouting department is pretty nice, pretty decent. So I think keep an eye out for the receivers tomorrow, definitely.
We got 233 people in the chat. Mr. Invisible, your first ever stream. I hope you're not nervous, guys. Make sure you are helping us out by liking and sharing today's stream. If you are new and you haven't, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Where we both drop daily Houston Texans content. Before we get into the Houston Texans signing, Jonathan Grenard, thank you for everything you've done as a Houston Texans. Thank you for the 12 and a half sacks this past season. Go enjoy Minnesota. You definitely got the bag like we thought you were going to. Um, how do you feel about Jonathan Grenard going to Minnesota?
Oh man, that kind of touched the heart a little bit. I won't lie. I was one of the
It
fans
stung a
that was,
little bit because it was so quick.
yeah, man. I truthfully, I liked Grenard, bro. I really did. I know he had some injuries, history in the past, but I did like Grenard, and he does deserve that bag. I mean, it would have been nice to see Grenard and Will Anderson on the edge, but again, bro, there's a lot of stuff you can build through. You have your franchise defensive end, and I'm happy for Grenard. I think he'll do fine in Minnesota. Um, but man, it's just that 19 million. I could have budged a little bit. If it was 19 million, I could have budged just a little bit. But I'm not mad at the Texans for not bringing him back.
Blake Cashman, thank you for everything you've done for us. He also gets a bag and goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Mr. Invisible, thoughts on Blake Cashman leaving us?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not that fan. I mean, he played great. He deserved that bag. But I had my eyes on Al-Shaair. I was ready for Aziz to get on and be a Texan, bro. So I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm happy for the guy. He's a great guy. He spoke highly of the Texans. I wish him all the best. But yeah, I think we got us a linebacker room now.
Mm. And then before we get into that linebacker room, I think the one that sting the most, punter Cameron Johnson. I've
Man,
regularly called him one of the best punters in the NFL. He goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Houston Texans will be in the market for a punter. What kind of gave us signs that they were moving on when this, if you remember, John Crumpler from the Senior Bowl had reported that general manager Nick Casario and his team were heavily looking at the special team guys, especially the punters and kickers. So thank you for everything you've done, Cameron Johnson, man. Excited for you to see you get a contract somewhere else. Now we get to the parts that made us excited and the parts that made us say, what? The first deal of the day. Welcome back to the Houston Texans. Lonnie Johnson. And what was funny is that earlier in the morning, Lonnie Johnson had tweeted out, "They're not going to love this." And for the first 3 hours of free agency, Mr. Invisible, Lonnie Johnson was our free agent signing.
I honestly am not mad at that. I think Lonnie brings
I
it
was
back.
just surprised, dude. I was like, what the fuck?
No, yeah, 100%. I think Lonnie brings a different type of swag. I think he had his indifferences with previous coaching staffs, but Lonnie is talented at the end of the day, and he's not a bad pickup. But I mean, I like it. I'm not mad. He's a great special teams guy. I know we wanted the bigger name to open up for agency, but hey, he's back. He knows the city. And I'm not disappointed in that at all.
Sheena Harris says, "Bro, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Texans are getting defense together. Nobody needs to overpay just because y'all want them to. No, 100%. And once again, we're not mad at all at the signings that were done today, but you wanted to go in and make some fireworks because when you look at the upcoming schedule, it's brutal. So you want some of the top tier talent in the NFL, and the top tier talent costs money. Scared money does not make money, and you would have loved to see the Houston Texans offer some of these guys the deals, right? With that being said, as we continue, guys, let us know what you think. Give us a grade on day one of the Houston Texans. And who knows, there might be some breaking news there in this stream. The second signing, Mr. Invisible, veteran defensive end slash defensive tackle, Deno Autry, who
Mm-hmm.
played the last 3 years with the Tennessee Titans. The 3 years before that, spent him with Indianapolis. So, this is now his third AFC South team, but coming off a season where it was his best year at getting to the quarterback, 11 and a half sacks, 2 years, $10 million deal. Now, the only knock against the signing is he's 33 years old, and you're going to be paying him $5 million over the next 2 years.
And I think that's a pretty cheap deal. Autry, I'm not mad at that. We watched him. I mean, we've played him twice every year. He's a big guy, big guy, big guy. I love that signing. I think that kind of shores up your defensive line. I think he's your defensive tackle too. I still don't think he's number one. I would love to go get him, Eric Armstead. I'm sorry, but I mean, 11 and a half sacks as a D tackle. I know he played both D tackle and defensive end, but man, that pressure. If you could just imagine the pocket collapsing with Will Anderson on the edge. I mean, what else could you ask for? I'd give that a minus, A minus signing. I think that was a really good signing, even though it's for 2 years. He's a little bit on the older side. If you watched him play with the Titans, he definitely does not play that age.
Uh, Yeah, no, starting with Lonnie, I don't mind it at all, right? If you're gonna help on in special teams, if you're gonna help out in the secondary, because the secondary is a need right now, he and Jeff Okudah, who we're talking about, in a second, should be competing for the number two cornerback spot. But excited to see what he does. Deno Autry is interesting because this contract is worth it if he is getting to the quarterback, right? When you look at his career, he's done that consistently. So give me 1 second while I pull up the stats. But like I said, this year, 11 and a half sacks. The year before, so last year, 8. In 2020 was 9. In 2020, 7.5. So in the past 4 years, that's at least 7.5 sacks, dude. And I think that if you even get 6 to 8, that is a win. Considering the age and how much he is playing. So I don't mind this signing whatsoever. The one that made me, kind of, scratch my head was the Jeff Okudah 1 year deal.
Oh no, brother.
And I was like, he's kind of fighting for his career, right? If it doesn't work out in Houston, does it work out anywhere else? This is now his third team in 5 years. The former number 3 overall pick, let's call it what it is, man. He's a bust. What were your thoughts on the Houston Texans bringing in Okudah?
So earlier in the off season, or right after the season, we all had a talk about what guys we think we could bring in. We're a big 1 year deal team. I'm not mad at the Jeffrey Okudah signing. I mean, he's a former number 3 overall pick. if you, college him was just amazing. He did have that injury history that I am a little bit concerned about, but I think as a number two to bring into camp and let him fight for his career, D'Amico's defenses has had a great, I guess you can say, great track record of turning players around. You know, you have guys like Blake Cashman was hurt and never really panned out for the Jets. You had Charles Omenihu, who was a Texan, who he kind of, made who he is. So I think with this team and that type of defense that we have right now, with that kind of swag, you got that young, everybody's young. He's only 25. I mean, what risk are you really taking? It's only 4.5 million. I think he still has some untapped potential. I mean, he played for the Falcons. Their defense was pretty good last year, and the Lions, and he wasn't too bad on the Lions. So I'm not mad. I still think we still need to go get another cornerback and also sign a cornerback. And draft a cornerback, because I'm not going to put all my rocks in Jeffrey Okudah's basket. But I think he definitely can come in and compete for that number two spot.
Invisible. Someone says an A for Autry. I don't want to hear this dude speak no more. He can play, but an A? Response to
He
that.
For the amount that you're paying him, 5 million a year for a dude that can collapse the pocket and give you 11 and a half sacks. Maybe he won't get you that, but maybe he gets you 6 or 7. But that pressure, making quarterbacks roll out into Will Anderson and whoever our other edges, that's a great signing for that amount of money. And then let's say you bring in a guy. I think they're taking it into perspective like this is our number one defensive tackle. I'm not saying that at all. There's still a lot of draft potential that you can draft these D tackles. There's still Eric Armstead out there as a number two defensive tackle for $5 million that can possibly get you 5 to 6 sacks and collapse the pocket. I'm all for it.
Yeah, Autry is a 2-year, $20 million deal, but 10 of that was fully guaranteed. So you're paying him 5 mil over the next 2 years. And then the Houston Texans signed someone named Mike Ford, who's been on several different teams over the past couple of years, a cornerback, a special teams guy. It's not really anything to talk about there. Welcome to the Houston Texans, buddy. I think the one that everyone should be excited about and give credit to Nick Casario is linebacker Aziz Al-Shaair. Now, is this the linebacker that D'Amico Ryans gets and he molds into one of the best linebackers in the NFL, like Fred Warner? Right? Remember what Fred Warner said at Super Bowl Media Day. There is no Fred Warner without D'Amico Ryans. He should have came last year. However, Sunday, a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. Started off 17 games, 163 tackles, and what you love about him is fearless, man. He's a thumper in the running game, and I'm excited to see that the Houston Texans signed him instead of giving the bag to Patrick Queen. Now, Aziz Al-Shaair did get the bag as well, right? Going from 5 million to
11.
3 years, 34. Is insane. But nonetheless, this is the one that I give credit to the Houston Texans.
And this was one of my wish list signings. He's, like you said, he's a thumper. He is a bit of a liability in coverage, just a small bit, but you got a guy like Christian Harris there too. So I think that he'll move over to the Mike spot, and you give Christian Harris that ability to use his 4.4 speed and kind of roam the field. I mean, that was my signing. I was okay with Perriman walking. I was okay with Cashman. I would love to have Cashman back. He was a great guy, but Shaair is just. I mean, I watched him play against. I think it was the Broncos, and man, he had like 15 tackles. He was just all over the place, and I was like, yeah, that's the type of guy that I need right there. And I mean, they went down and got him. I think D'Amico got his guy. So I mean, I'm very excited about that signing. I would give that one the A. Let me take that back. I'll take back my Audrey. I'll give him a B. But that Shaair signing, man. I mean, 11.3 million. I mean, yeah, he got his bag, he got his stuff, but I definitely think that he's definitely worth it, and I think he'll be a heart of this defense.
Okay, so breaking news: the Houston Texans have signed former Chiefs punter Tommy Townsend in a 2-year, $6 million deal. I like that, but also the Houston Texans are bringing back wide receiver Noah Brown
Mm.
on a 1-year deal. That is the first move that we have made for the offense, right? Besides bringing back Dodson Schultz, but I like the punter move, Noah Brown. I mean, I guess welcome back, right? He has a stat this year where 150 yards in back-to-back games. The only two other wide receivers to do that were Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. I did not think Noah Brown was going to be back, to be honest with you. But, I mean, these are still just day 2, day 3 signings, bro.
It's not moving. It's not moving the needle for me,
It
honestly.
hasn't moved the needle all day, and that's what sucks.
Yeah, I think as Texans fans, all of us are kind of like, dang. But I mean, Noah Brown is a veteran presence. Depending on how much they're paying, I'm not mad at it. But I didn't think that he would come back. But hey, I mean, you have a veteran in there still. I mean, I think we need to get rid of Robert Woods. He's a cap casualty. Save that $5 million. But Noah Brown, I mean, hey, he has his games here and there, and if he can give us a 100-yard game maybe 2 or 3 times this season, I'm not mad. I mean, it's not moving the needle for me. It's not doing anything for me.
No, I don't like that one bit. I don't like that one bit. Can we even count on Noah Brown making the roster?
I,
Like,
I don't think that. I mean, I think he's gonna have to fight for his spot. I think that they're in route to drafting a receiver. This receiving class is so deep, and I truly believe we're gonna go out and get a Darnell Mooney or a Curtis Samuel. So I think Noah Brown is gonna be fighting for his spot. But I mean, hey, may the best man win.
man, we haven't done nothing at all, brother.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
you know,
disappointing, bro. It's disappointing watching, especially all of us after the season we just had. I feel like we're just a few pieces away.
this
And
is not a team that has cap issues right now.
exactly, brother, exactly.
$70 million. We were top 10 in cap space.
And I just
And we're
don't know what the plan
doing
is.
these 1 to 2 year deals. And I warned people about this. I did, because at the NFL Combine, Cody Stutes recorded a interview of Nick Casario and him talking, and he said, "You don't have to use your money all in year one," right? He said he sees the NFL in 2 year increments, and what you don't use this year, he'll use next year. That to me already had told me we are not going to have the free agency that I thought we were. And then I let people, kind of, persuade me back into, yeah, we're getting the Saquons. We're getting, at that time we thought Mike Evans was going to be a free agent. We're getting Mike Evans. But no, this was exactly what you did last year, was not put all your money into one or two, three big baskets, right? A Christian Wilkins and Saquon Barkley, but you're spreading it around, like getting a veteran for every single position group. It was Dalton Schultz, Devin Singletary, Case Keenum, Jimmy Ward, Denzel Perriman, Sheldon Rankins, and now it's Aziz Al-Shaair, but this one we like. It's Denico Autry, it's Jeff Okudah, and like you said, bro, these are not moving the needle on day one of free agency, when this was the first year in 3 years where you had the money to really go out there and do whatever the hell that you wanted to do. But now, I feel like it's going to be the rest. These 1 to 2 year signings. Maybe we see another 3 year deal. We don't have a starter running back. Our starter running back right now is Damian Pierce. Right? Is Derrick Henry now considered a want? I'm sorry, a need for this Houston Texans team?
I feel like I'm on page with you where I kind of was convinced that we'd go out and get these big names, but deep down in my heart, I knew we weren't going to. But I mean, it's always nice to have a few big names on your team. I mean, I understand kind of the predicament we're in right now with having a quarterback like CJ. And I understand we don't need to move the needle, but names like that would be nice to have. I mean, yes, you can find a running back in the draft, and you can find those late, and there's still players, but the running back free agency room right now is just so. I mean, if we get Derrick Henry, hey, okay, cool. But I just don't see Nick being that guy. I think he's in his Patriot way, and of signing. Yeah, I hate to say it. I hate to be that guy, but he's so used to these little deals and just bringing guys along. And I mean, hey, I mean, people are right. Nick did put together a team last year, and look at what we did. But
uh,
there's also you have all of this money, and yes, I'm not saying go spend it all and go broke. But one name, two names here would have been cool. I mean, there's still a lot of players out there. There's still safeties. There's still Simmons. Justin Simmons is out there still. That's a big name right there. Curtis Samuel is still out there.
Well,
That's
you
another.
haven't done anything at safety. You haven't cut Robert
But
Woods.
if you think
I'm
about it, though,
sorry, no, Jimmy Ward, who saves you about $5 million.
yeah, and I understand. I get that, but I also, if you think about the safety market right now, nobody really moved besides Xavier McKinney. So I mean, some of these positions haven't been touched yet, and I think that there's still time for us to make some moves. Yes, it's not going to be those splashy moves. I mean, we kind of already know that, but there's still a lot of depth, a lot of players out there for us to go get, and then there's still the draft. I'm not hung over because we didn't go get these big names. I kind of expected it. It would have been nice, but I'm glad I can't say I'm glad we're not overspending. I think that Christian Wilkins was a little bit too much. I think Saquon was kind of in his ballpark.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, we missed out on Saquon. That's fine. There's players that you can draft and bring in on rookie deals. So I really wanted McKinney. I will say that. I really did want to bring him in, but I'm happy for him over there in Green Bay. There's still guys like Simmons out there. Simmons is a turnover freak. So I mean, hey, there's a lot of potential out there for Nick. I just hope that Nick doesn't sit on his hands tomorrow too.
Yeah. So, yes, the Houston Texans did sign Tommy Townsend. I'm sorry about sign stuff here. I got mocos. I've had them all day. Have been under the weather, boys, but Noah Brown is back. That doesn't do anything for us. When you look at what's available in free agency at the wide receiver position, man, you can make, there's still some moves you can make. There's Curtis Samuel. I would love to see him in a Houston Texans
Oh
uniform.
man,
Tyler Boyd would be a good sign in. Who else? Calvin Ridley. If you get
that's
Calvin Ridley,
that's a lot of talk right there, man. There's a lot of talk behind Calvin Ridley. I personally will say I've wanted Curtis Samuel to be a Texan. He's been a great receiver. I'm not gonna say great. He's been a good receiver. He's been reliable as a number 3. So I think bringing in him is going to help kind of shore up our slot. And I still think you go draft somebody.
uh,
So right now, my top 3 signings would be Eric Armstead. I would love to
okay.
bring him in, shore up that defensive line. Um, Hot take, but I'm taking Aaron Jones. I don't mind
Yeah,
Aaron
but it can't
Jones.
just be Aaron Jones. It needs to
No,
be
no,
Aaron Jones
no.
and someone else.
Yeah, I think you go Aaron Jones just because of how our offenses ran and also kind of the screen game and the passing game. Think about how many times CJ checked down to Devin Singletary. I think Aaron Jones would be a good fit. And then my third one would be Curtis Samuel. I think if you go get those 3 names, I think that you're kind of in a better predicament. And then obviously there's still the safeties and stuff, but Eric Armstead is number 1. Shore up your defensive tackle room. And then Aaron Jones, I mean, hey, you get your running back and you still go draft one. There's a lot of talent there. And I think Nick can still come back from it. I trust Nick and I trust D'Amico's process. I kind of got out of my way because I really wanted these big names,
Uh
but
huh.
not all big names make a Super Bowl team. There's still those guys that you got to pay here and there and stuff. So I'm not mad at it.
When I look at the running back list, the two that lead are Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. You need 2 running backs. Flame Hosher said, Kamara. If Kamara gets available, I would love that.
100%.
Who else? AJ Dillon doesn't do it for me. We've heard a lot of chatter around Zach Moss and how he has mutual interest in the Houston Texans. In the group chat, our friend showed us the DM that he sent Zach Moss about, oh, if the Houston Texans send you a bag, you better come over here. And he liked it. So, if we get someone like Zach Moss, it can't just be Zach Moss, man. You need to invest into, I think, another running back.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that either one of these running backs now. I mean, you look at Derrick Henry, he's a touchdown. I mean, if you get down on the goal line, at least you're getting a touchdown with Derrick Henry. Aaron Jones, he's 29, good receiving threat, and still can run the ball. But none of them. You got to think about it. The Texans are not a number 1 running back team. They're a running back by committee team. So I definitely agree with you. And we're gonna get one of these names. You see, when Austin Eckler got signed, the Texans are kind of in scramble mode now, trying to find a running back. And I think Nick knows he kind of messed up on the running back room because you let Devin go. It would have been a little bit better if Devin, was re-signed,
Uh-huh.
but you have nobody but Damian Pierce right now. So I think you're gonna go get one of those guys. but it kind of just depends on which one Bobby wants. And I still think, like I said, there's a lot of talent in the draft, even late in the draft. So I think you go get one of those guys and you add a rookie running back, and Damian Pierce might be in the mix again. And maybe he learns the offense. He's a good running back. We can't take that from him. We did see what he's capable of, but scheme fit is a real thing. So it just depends on how they want to go about that.
Man, I'm looking at the list and nothing really excites me, bro.
Yeah, that
You
running
had
back.
your opportunities, today. Um, does DJ Reader do anything for you?
Other than the fact that he's been here, and I kind of was a little pressed whenever he left. I mean, but not really. Like I said, that defensive tackle room, if it's not Eric Armstead, I'm disappointed in Nick, because you let Christian Wilkins go, you let Grover Stewart go. There's a lot of names that went today that we all talked about bringing in, and I mean, Eric Armstead is the last one where I'm kind of like, that's a D tackle one. So I mean, DJ would be cool if, I mean, last come last thing, but it's not moving anything for me personally.
Do you go after Aaron Jones or Kareem Hunt? Both of them. Let's
Yeah, I could
see.
take,
Yeah, Eagles got all this freaking money, dude. That's crazy for them, bro.
and I
They
still don't
just,
think that they're gonna go anywhere.
yeah, they're Clowney
Bring
come
Lonnie.
home. I wouldn't mind that at all either. Wonder if he wants to come back here. Um, do you see any trades happening, man? Do you see like the Texans trying to go after someone?
With
Someone,
how
someone like a T Higgins? Would that excite you?
T Higgins, no, just for the simple fact that I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but you have a guy in Nico Collins that kind of plays like T Higgins. They're jump ball guys. I mean, Nico I think is more athletic. Um, I don't see a trade happen. If anything, I see little Nick trades, little minor trades, but anything big and flashy. I mean, if it's not Justin Jefferson, who, hey, I know this is wishful thinking, but Kirk Cousins is gone. I don't think the Vikings are kind of in that, hey, I'm going to get a quarterback. They're picking number 11 or 12. So they'd have to trade up. So I think if you get rid of Jay Jettas, you're going to be able to move up. So if it's not Justin Jefferson at the receiver spot, I'm not willing to trade and pay anybody else, honestly. But I'm not going to lie, if you go get Justin Jefferson, everything, hey, Nick, you're a god. I'm not even mad at this free agency if you go get a guy like that. And it's a possibility when you think about Kirk Cousins being gone now. Justin Jefferson probably doesn't want to have a rookie quarter. I don't think the Vikings are going to get a CJ Stroud. You're not going to find that guy at pick 11. Even if you trade up, you might hit or miss. So I don't think Justin Jefferson wants to be there. I think he'll ask for that trade. And considering that they have to pay him, I don't think that they'll want to do it. I think they'll go for looking for the trade. They've been doing it for the last few weeks.
What about signing Chase Young to a 2-year deal?
That's a touchy topic, just for the simple fact that yes, he's a freak athlete, but those reports during that Super Bowl week about Chase Young, brother, I don't know about that.
But he had a sack in the Super Bowl.
No, but I'm saying coming into it, how they said they were going to reduce his snaps just because the lack of effort. And I mean, if you watch the Super Bowl game closely, I mean, he kind of did lack the effort. I mean, I would go a year. I wouldn't wrap myself up in 2 years, but it depends on the price. If it's a low price for him for 2 years, then I don't mind it. I mean, like I said, it's kind of the same thing I said with Okudah. You're getting the talent, and you hope that they can turn it around in Houston. So I wouldn't mind Chase Young, but that still doesn't shore up that defensive line. You still got to add some more talent into it.
Yeah, someone asked about Joey Bosa, how the Chargers would be listening in case someone wants to trade. I mean, I don't know how much I'll get for Joey Bosa. This is
Yeah,
really
that
don't know about that.
we were talking about that a little bit earlier with Joey Bosa. I mean, it depends for me. It depends on what the price is. I wouldn't mind adding him, but that's all on the price. So
Mr. Invisible, did the Houston Texans get better today? And I want the chat to answer the same question. Did the Houston Texans get better in day one free agency?
I'm gonna have to
Come
say
on.
no.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to say no because
I would
yes,
agree.
I feel like you replaced Cashman. That's fine, but you're missing a edge rusher. You lost Grenard. You're missing your running backs. You lost Devin Singletary, and you haven't
Mm,
added anything major besides some depth pieces. And let me emphasize depth and special teams pieces. So no, I don't think we got any better. I think that you're kind of counting on CJ to be like how Brady was for the Patriots, man. You just add a few pieces here and there, and you just hope that he plays amazing and saves you. And you got to put the talent around CJ, man. You have to. I think any other team that had a quarterback like CJ would be out spending everything right now, because this is the window right now. We have no running back. We have no running game right now. Technically,
mm,
there's still names out there, but as of right now, I give this free agency a C, a D. Honestly, a D,
a D.
because I mean it's ridiculous how you have all of this money. And I'm not saying you needed to go spend it on one player, but there's a lot of names out there that we still have yet to go get for cheaper. Our first signing of free agency was, I mean, besides Dalton and Kaimi, was
Lonnie
Lonnie
Johnson.
Johnson, brother. Like, you had all this time to be in the scouting department with these guys and women, and you come up with Lonnie Johnson, Jeff Okudah. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you could do a lot better than that. And D is giving it a lot of grace, but I think Autry and Shaair kind of moved me up from an F, honestly.
Yeah, right now is at a C for me. And third Coast Live podcast shots, and then shout out to them. Just said it's early. The freak out is crazy. I'll give it a C for me. Because some of the big names that we were expecting to get. You know, yes, I do like hearing that we tried, but at the end of the day, you did not get the deal done. Um, Now that C could obviously move up to a B, and I think that's the highest it could potentially go because I don't know who else could the Houston Texans sign that would make me pound the table and say, yeah, this is gonna legit get us one step closer to our first ever AFC championship, our first ever Super Bowl. And we all know all these signings, weren't for the long term future. We were gonna spend the bread on maybe some short term guys, but as of today, I give it a C. And who knows what could happen in the next couple of hours? Who knows what could happen tomorrow?
100%. And I agree with that. I think that there is one name, a few names that get me to kind of be like, okay, Nick's doing something. And like I said, Eric Armstead, I will not stop bringing that name up. He's familiar with D'Amico. I think that he would be a great addition. And you still got to think about it. We have our linebackers kind of short up now. Our D line, I mean, there's still talent in the free agency and the draft, but our safeties too. If you think about it, I think Jalen Petrie. I think we're in the market for two safeties. A lot of
Uh,
people are saying that keep Petrie where he's at, but I think Petrie in the slot, kind of what he did with Baylor. I think that's where we go, and I think you add a guy like Justin Simmons. The safety class, the rookie safety class coming up is really deep. So I think that you go get your safeties, you shore up that defensive line with Eric Armstead, and then you find some talent, some diamond in the rough guy. You have a guy like Derek Barnett that might come back, and there's still guys out there. Maybe go get a Chase Young. And then
uh-huh.
on the offensive side, I think your offensive line is. I mean, hey, I think we got one of the better O lines when we're not injured. You have your quarterback. You have Tank, Dalton, and Nico. Go add you a receiver, man. I don't care who it is at this point. Bring me Darnell Mooney if you want somebody that can separate, like D'Amico said.
uh.
Bring me a guy like Tyler Boyd. Even though he left a bad taste in my mouth when we played them because he dropped that pass. Even though we won the game, I was happy, but I just imagined myself in that predicament. And you go get you a guy like Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones and add a rookie. I think that we still have the potential to be a good team. I think we still compete, but it's just looking at the schedule next year, man, that they're putting us through the ringer.
Yep.
So we need to have some talent out there. Justin Simmons, I think on that defensive side is a heartbeat. He's a turnover machine, bro. So there's still a lot of talent. Yes, I'm freaking out a little bit because I wanted some names, but I'm also kind of not freaking out because there's
I
still
mean,
so
everyone
much.
is saying D, C, D, C. a lot of C's, a lot of D's. I mean, I see a couple of F's here and there. So everyone's kind of on the same wavelength that you, that this is not what they expected in day one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're all on the same page that we thought, last year was kind of, but this year was the year that we thought, hey, we have the money, we have the quarterback, and we have the coach.
Uh-huh.
And it's a bit of a disappointment to go out there and have, especially all of these names. This isn't free agency is normally not like this, bro. It's normally these many names out there. That's why you were like, hey, why didn't you go? Just like for reference, you normally don't get a guy like Christian Wilkins at D tackle coming to free,
Available.
you know? So stuff like that is kind of why I'm like, dang, man. But like I said, I trust D'Amico and Nick. Look at what they did with the team last year. They signed a bunch of, I'm not going to say scrubs, but a whole bunch of names that were like, hey, I don't really know, kind of how we are now. Look at Blake Cashman. Everybody was like, what the heck? What the heck? Maybe maybe Jeff Okudah turns into a Cashman type of guy, and he's just a
Uh-huh.
surprise. You never know. And that's the thing with free agency. It's a hit or miss, bro. So we have the money still. There's still a lot of names that you can add with that money. So I wouldn't freak out. But my day one, bro, it was very underwhelming. I'm very disappointed in how our day one went.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can agree. If you were to ask me, do I think the Houston Texans got better? I would say no. You still need a starting running back because just Damian Pierce does not do it. You need a potential, like you need another edge rusher because Jonathan Grenard is gone. Secondary needs to be helped out. Who knows what you're? Are you going to be upset if they don't cut Jimmy Ward or Robert Woods?
Robert Woods, yes. I don't think that he has a place on the team anymore. Sorry. Um, Jimmy Ward, I mean, I'm not mad if they do. I'm not mad if they don't. I think he adds a good
Uh-huh.
veteran presence and he can teach some of our younger safeties because I do think we're going to be in the market for a younger safety. But if you go get a guy like Justin Simmons, who is a veteran, yeah, I don't mind getting rid of Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward was too injury prone for me, bro. He was too, there was all this hype behind him coming in and really didn't get nothing out of him, and it kind of hurt us. So if you go get another vet like Simmons, who is high on my list, I don't mind cutting him. But if you don't, I mean, you kind of still need the veteran presence. I know we're tired of hearing vet this, vet that, but it's real. I mean, you kind of do need that to kind of guide these younger guys, and our team is still super young, man.
Uh-huh. No, 100%. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to thank you all for joining today's live stream. Now, if another big move happens, we will come back on the live again. Mr. Visible, let them know where they can find your latest stuff at.
So I'm on Twitter. I'm starting up the YouTube stuff, but Twitter is going to be Invisible Texans. You can find me there. I post a lot of my draft options that I would like. I post a lot of things with free agency, starting with that, and just overall everything about the Texans and kind of my views. Some of them are hot takes, some of them are just random stuff, but just for thought, it's just food for thought out there, man.
No, absolutely. And guys, thank you coming. This was probably one of our biggest live stream ever. We had over 688 people inside this thing. I want to thank you so much for joining. Go Houston, Texas, man. Do me a favor. Y'all have a real blast.